All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here at Nashville Superspeedway. We've now been joined by Ty Dillon. Ty, thanks for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and open for questions. If you have a question for Ty, we will get a microphone to you. To kick us off, we're going to go to Deb. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you. Deb Williams, Auto Week. Ty, it sounds like you had a really interesting week this past week in Ohio. Could you please tell us about it?
Yeah, we had a great time up in Cleveland. So, I mean, maybe most people know, but our owner, Matt Colleague, is from the Ohio and Cleveland area. And that's where his businesses are ran out of. And we have it's kind of a unique situation that our owner's from there, and a lot of what makes Colleague Racing go is in Ohio. So spent the week up there and seeing his companies and visiting all the folks there, but then also doing media up in Cleveland. Went to the Guardians game throughout the first pitch. That was fun. We went to LeBron James's I Promise School, which is an amazing experience, just seeing what he's doing there in the town that he grew up in Akron. Also went to Denzel Ward's football camp, the Make Them Know Your Name camp. They do some amazing things. So we went around Cleveland kind of raising awareness for the Colleague Companies Championship coming up, which is Matt's golf tournament that he sponsors for the Champions Tour. Us drivers from Colleague will be there for that in a couple weeks. And then also just for the Colleague Giving Group. Matt does so much giving from his wealth, his personal wealth, and his company's wealth to so many foundations in Cleveland. To just go out there and see that was a really fun week for me. It was busy, but it was a great time.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Chris Knight, catchtrends.com. Ty, how would you evaluate your 2025 season so far, and what are your expectations for the second half of the regular season?
I would evaluate our season. I don't know about putting a grade on it, but I'd say it's been pretty good. I think we've been fast, and we've ran really well at some tracks. We've done a bit of a poor job executing finishes. I think we've ran up front more than we've finished up front, and I think that's one of the positive is that we have the speed to do it. So now it's just executing some finishes. I mean, we ran out of gas 2 races in a row, which was pretty devastating for us. It was a difference in probably 35, 40 points over 2 weeks. And then last week at Charlotte, we were really fast, just like our teammate AJ, and struggled getting out of pit road, just kind of getting blocked in our spot. I think Charlotte's one of the hardest pit roads, and Larson was parked there in front of us, and he had early damage, so he kept coming down pit road in front of us, and I couldn't get out of my stall. So I think we came down 20th on the first stop and came out 30-something. Then the next stop, he came to fixes again and came in 20. We had driven back up to 22nd and then fell back to 30th again. It's just been one of those years where we just can't really seem to catch a break to where a race has been clean for us. Some of that's out of our hands, and some of that stuff that we got to clean up on pit road and mistakes I've made myself. So, but I feel like for the rest of the season, everything's right in front of us. We're fast enough. I think everybody sees the performance gain in Colleague Racing for AJ and myself. We just got to, for my team, execute some of these races a little bit better. Yeah.
All right, Dustin. Microphone's right behind you. Thank you.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Is it helpful to see what AJ's able to do, or is it frustrating in the sense that you can't replicate it because you guys haven't been able to execute everything in all situations?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you want to be right there with your teammate. AJ's having a phenomenal year, but both of us have had, there's been weekends where he's had bad luck and I've had good luck, and he's had a couple more finishes inside the top 10 than us, but there's been days where we should have finished in the top 10. You look at Talladega, you look at some of those days, and we run out of gas or something silly might happen. So I think our season looks very similar if some of our mistakes aren't there. I'm sure he would like to have some blown engines back, and his season would look even better yet. But if you just look at it as a whole, we're both running good. And for me, it's not really about comparing myself to my teammate. AJ and I work really good together. He's one of the best teammates I have. I love the way that he attacks his preparation and then the way he drives. He's a fighter every time he gets out there in the racetrack, just as much as I am. And my view always as teammates is rising tides raise all ships. So AJ doing good is only a good thing for both of us. We work a lot together, both of our teams. We don't go to the racetrack. I think the only time we've been to the racetrack where we don't have the same thing was at the All-Star race, and that was just because we were trying some different things out there. And so when one team runs good, it's because we all put our effort together. And I think we're running good as a group, and it's just a matter of which one executes the weekend better. And they've done a better job than us so far. And hopefully we can get our team to that standard.
How much preparation have you done for Mexico City? And if you've done some sim work, what is that track like there?
Yeah, I've been spending about 2 hours a week for the past 9 weeks at a static rig every Tuesday with my crew chief, just working on it. So I feel like I got some good laps. I wanted to be, him and I made it a goal to have more laps than anybody before we get there, whether that helps or not. I've gotten pretty good at the computer version. We'll see what happens when we get there to the real version. So now I've been grinding pretty hard, just putting in a lot of laps, because I feel like anytime you go to a new racetrack, it's a new opportunity. It levels the playing field a little bit across the ground that first year, and you want to be the one that sees it as an opportunity, not a negative.
So if you're doing that and spending all that time on the car and trying to figure out the track, what are you doing for your body and getting adjusted or prepared for the high elevation?
I'm not doing anything special. For about 2 years now, every week I do the same thing. As soon as the race is over on Monday or Sunday, I work out Monday. I work out every day of the week, and I've really taken my physical fitness, very serious over the last 2 years. And I have over the years past, but just kind of doing it different, just trying to build muscle. And I feel so much better at this point in the season than I ever have, just being stronger and being in the gym every single day, even though when it's hard, I still get in the gym. I do a lot of sauna work. I have ice bath. I have a hyperbaric chamber. So I'm doing that kind of stuff weekly. I take hydration and nutrition very serious too. And I feel like I'm at the peak performance with my body that I've ever been in a race car. And I know Mexico City's going to bring a new challenge with the height and the altitude, with the lack of oxygen for us, and it's going to be hot too. So, but I feel ready to challenge any of these drivers to a fitness test. So we'll see what happens in Mexico.
All right, go ahead.
Ty, Richard Allen, motorsportsreport.net. You were still pretty young when Dale Earnhardt drove for your grandfather. So kind of a two-part question. Have you watched the Earnhardt documentary? And then secondly, from a young kid's perspective, what was that time period like?
So my last week and a half have been quite busy since the documentary came out. I have not watched it yet. I do plan on it. The last documentary I watched was the one called Dale. That was probably, 15, 20 years ago. And like you said, I was very young during that time, but I just knew Dale from my perspective as the guy. When we were little and we were at the racetrack, he would come and bug my brother and I, whether it was pinching us behind the neck or grabbing us as hard as he could to get our attention. And we didn't really like that. We were kind of scared of him. But man, we grew up every weekend, and where Dale finished determined our week. We got pizza if Dale won, so that was a celebration in our house. And I was telling somebody a couple weeks ago, he won so often, and they were so amazing as a team. I remember being so spoiled that, like, hey man, I wish he would win at this track. He hasn't won at this track in a while. Instead of just the fact that he keeps winning over and over and over, it's like, well, it'll be okay. We'll be happier if he wins at this track. And just knowing that kind of perspective after being in the sport as a driver myself was crazy. But the impact he had on my grandfather, my family, and everybody at RCR, and what that has become because of him and my grandfather's relationship, obviously means so much to myself and our family and everybody in sport. So, he was a giant in our sport and a legend, and it's just awesome that we continue to talk about him, and the documentary continues to bring his name to the light because he has done so much for what the sport is.
All right, additional questions for Ty? I think that was it. All right, Ty, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
You fit the rocking chair very well.
Oh, thank
With
you.
the
I almost
camo
blend in,
and
don't
the
I?
cowboy
Yeah.
boots, it's perfect. Thanks, Ty.